when I read the Bloomberg article, I wanted to find out who were the people involved, and they mentioned two names. Thomas Stroman was one of them. So I looked them up in Google patent search to see what types of things they had worked upon. And Thomas Stroman had worked on uh, query rewriting patents of the type that the Hummingbird patent was, where it talked about finding substitute terms for words used in a query and using those in the query to see if it would get better results. And as I read through the patent, I noticed three examples they provided that showed an initial query, and then the query that they ended up using that gave final results. It was a little bit longer and more detailed, and how they understood the words within those queries. Like one of the queries was New York Yankees Stadium,
Yeah.
and they noticed that New York itself was a concept, a phrase that had meaning, so they could merge those two words together and say this is one concept, one idea. Uh, they noticed that when the word Yankees tended to be used around words like stadium and New York, uh, the meaning tended to be baseball.
Yeah.
So that's how we're using artificial intelligence here. They're learning from the context of words within a query.
What is the major difference? Why we call it artificial intelligence? Because program itself, software itself can learn itself. They don't really. The algorithm can learn itself, isn't it? Is it the case?
It can learn and it can notice relationships. You know, it maybe it goes out and it does a query of the web to see how often uh, the word baseball shows up, or it queries the web and does a search for New York and Yankees and notices that baseball tends to show up a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can insert the word baseball in that query. It's not really learning, but it's learning relationships between those words.
So it's not really learning. Which means so the algorithm, in order to improve, you have to actually do something about it to rewrite it or to improve it. So algorithm is itself won't improve itself, won't learn itself.
Yeah, it's one of the philosophical queries, concerns about what artificial intelligence actually is.
Yeah, kind of intuitively we understand that okay, we have an algorithm already done, and after that we don't touch it, and it's learn itself.
Right. So the other guy they mentioned in the Bloomberg article, uh, I don't think I could pronounce his name if it was in front of me, so I'm not going to try. Uh, he wrote one that talked about experimenting with queries and uh, creating what they called synthetic queries to try to see what types of results they might get if they try a lot of different queries, and that had the words deep learning in the patent title. So
So okay, so we have to wait and see what comes out of it. Can I ask a question, kind of widen the question? Uh,
yeah,
SEO 2015. What do you think that the major changes, major biggest change? Is it what we are talking about? Is it the biggest one, or you think it's too early to say?
I think Google's showed that they are persistent in making a move towards the knowledge graph and towards understanding entities better. I think this uh, matches that to a degree because it deals with understanding concepts.
Okay, so you think this is a major changes as what didn't happen before. This is a change, a biggest change of this year 2015.
It's hard to say. You can't necessarily put those landmarks out there and say this is when this happened. Google goes through 500 changes a year supposedly to their core algorithms.
Yeah, but
We don't know when those things get triggered. We don't know what day they decided to start using RankBrain.